We just put out our top 10 running backs in college football video. As you saw, was a very short video. We just kind of wanted to go over quickly those running backs. Now we're going to dive in deeper, Dalton, on every single one of the 10 running backs on our list. And we'll start off with our number 10 running back, which is RJ Harvey out of UCF, who we mentioned before is probably one of the most underrated running backs in college football and what is, one of the best positions in college football. I rarely see Harvey get brought up, man, even though he was incredibly productive for the UCF Knights last year.
Yeah, I think there's several things working in Harvey's favor. First of all, his feet are really, really good. 43 explosive runs was fourth most in the country. He makes people miss in the open field. 474 missed tackles last year. I think the most optimistic thing for me with Harvey is just the fit. It's such a perfect fit for a running back in Gus Malzahn's offense. We've seen it since the days of Cam Newton and Nick Marshall and all the backs in the running game he had there, all the way to last year with John Rice Plumlee and Harvey here at UCF. I just think if you're a back, this is the dream offense, right? It's modern triple option. There's several directions that any run play could go. You've got the still a legit quarterback run game now with KJ Jefferson coming in. The formations give you light boxes. The option elements to it give you just linebackers moving in all directions. They don't know where the football is at any given moment. And I think Harvey now, last year you had him and Rice Plumlee. Now you've got a three-headed monster with Jefferson and Harvey and Penny Boone transferring in from Louisville via Toledo. You've got this very like thunder and lightning thing that's going to happen here with Boone and Harvey. Boone is much more, he's a physical, big leg Mac runner who just gets downhill and runs people over. And Harvey's feet in space are absolutely legitimate. I think actually having a second back to go with him is going to make him even better in the moments when he touches the ball. And they get very creative with how they use him. You see him on jet sweeps. You see him in the Wildcat playing quarterback, especially down on the goal line. He does so many different things, and his feet allow him to do so many different things. But the fact that they've got KJ Jefferson, who at his peak might be a better runner than John Rice Plumlee, and you've got Penny Boone coming in there to be the more physical downhill back that can take some carries off of Harvey. You might not see like something crazy like a 2,000-yard season from Harvey, but he's going to be incredibly efficient with his feet.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it, is that they're going to have a really amazing rush. I don't think enough people are talking about how dynamic that rushing attack at UCF is going to be next year with KJ Jefferson at quarterback, who's one of the best rushing quarterbacks in college football. And then you got Penny Boone coming in, who was incredibly productive last year while at Toledo. And then you got RJ Harvey, who is a top 10 running back in the country, in our opinion. So, yeah, Harvey over 1,400 yards last year. He was sixth in the country in terms of rushing yards, 17 carries of 20-plus yards as well. The only running back in the country who had more was Ollie Gordon, who we'll talk about in our number one video that we do a lot later. He's a smaller running back. He's 5'8", 195 pounds. But like I said in our last video, that's kind of gives him a low center of gravity, man. Usually smaller running backs like that struggle with breaking tackles. It's kind of like a Bucky Irving thing that we saw from Oregon the year before, where it was like, man, he's just breaking tackles because it's hard to get a clean shot on a guy that small with feet as good as RJ Harvey. So I see some Bucky Irving in his game. Not maybe he's a really good receiver, but not as good as Bucky Irving. So yeah, like you said, 74 forced missed tackles last year, which were tied for the sixth most in the country. Now, obviously, there's all the strengths that we just broke down for RJ Harvey. Was there anything that you think he could work on, Dawn, or anything like a weakness that you see in Harvey's game right now?
I think you just mentioned it. I think they should use him more in the passing game. He got a decent workload early in the season, but you're talking about a guy who gets, I think, right around 2 targets per game. I think his ability in open space, his ability to break tackles in the open field needs to be used more often. And I think sets with Boone and Harvey both on the field at the same time. Harvey can move around, man. We've seen him in jet motion. We've seen him obviously playing quarterback. He's a versatile player, right? I think that versatility last year, I believe he only had 19 or 20 catches. That number
19,
should double.
Yeah.
For me. Was it 19? That number should double easily. I would get him 5 or 6 targets a game. Find any way you can to get RJ Harvey in open space. That includes in the passing game, because now, again, you've got Penny Boone to take some of the downhill carries off of him. Use Harvey as more of a versatile threat in the passing game, and I think you really got something dangerous going, especially now. UCF's going to be looking for answers with Javon Baker having been drafted, right? I don't know who their number one receiver is, but you can make that up as a group, especially if you can use Harvey more in the passing game.
Dolan, you want to hear a stat real quick that's pretty wild and kind of goes to your point of using him more? He had, on 19 catches last year, he had 14 forced missed tackles. 100th percentile forced missed tackle rate on catches. He had a 74% forced missed tackle rate on catches last year, which I just said is 100th percentile for running back. So RJ Harvey, I agree with you, man. I think he was criminally underutilized in the passing game last year. Obviously, the size is going to work against him a little bit in pass pro. He was about an average pass blocker last year. I believe he was right in the 70s, or in this ranked in the 70s, excuse me, in pass blocking grade. He had a 48.1 pass blocking grade, which is 77th out of 165 running backs. So right around average for pass blocking. But he won't ever be a great pass protector just because he's that small. So NFL wise, probably going to put on a little bit of weight. Obviously, he's a 6th-year senior as well, so the age is going to work against him in terms of the NFL draft as well. But yeah, that's what we got on RJ Harvey, though, man. As a college running back, he is absolutely electric. And he is going to, with that backfield, man, with KJ Jefferson and Penny Boone and RJ Harvey at UCF. I mean, we're going to talk about a ton of Big 12 running backs and a lot of Big 12 rushing games, running attacks, excuse me, on this list. UCF's next year, man, is criminally underrated with the amount of guys that they have. But that's what we got on RJ Harvey. Make sure you guys stay tuned for the rest of our top 10 player breakdowns for our top 10 running backs in college football.